we make a lot of the stuff that makes the difference at a purchase point, i.e. we make labels, we make swing tags, hang tags, woven labels, all of that. That's the manufacturing side of this, right? Personally, I've been here as a global creative director for Avery for about a couple of years. My background is completely different. I'm from the retail, from the fashion side. I've been 20 years in fashion. The last 15, I was creative director for Burberry for Japan. What made this piece interesting for me and why I changed over is really exactly this piece actually that we're looking at today, the future of retail, i.e. where is this all going? And given that US consumers are experiencing brands now in so many different ways, the challenge for these mega brands that we work with all the biggest retailers in the world, is really to ensure that that brand experience that you have with your customers isn't diverging into different avenues where you have a massive retail presence and are therefore kind of almost landlocked, yet online you can do so much more stuff that relates really speedily and directly to customers, and to close that loop is a massive challenge, right? The key access to that and to trying to do something about that is that you need to have really tight control of what you actually have in store or in the supply chain or in your distribution centers in order to service whatever demands might be created digitally as well. So we have two key aspects to our business. One, which is my bit on the left really, is the piece where we connect with our consumers and with our brands directly, and we help our brands or our customers communicate and tell stories effectively to their customers. And that now is merging almost seamlessly into the piece where we're helping them accelerate their performance through becoming really smart. And that is where we're world leaders in RFID technology, and we're using this and we're building bigger networks around this in order to the stock control and the path through the manufacturing and supply chain, which is where RFID has been traditionally used, is now enabling let's say a consumer experience in the workplace, where our customers, let's say Burberry, uses the RFID in the supply chain. We've now put the tech into their store and Regency, for example, that enables the same labeling, the same tracking mechanisms that you have in the garments from day one where you start making them, to also then have a life on their own in the store where you go into changing rooms and the RFID tagged on the garment might enable specific experiences in there and enable you to relate to this brand differently. So key to all of this is really the inventory accuracy, right? And this is why it's a bit boring. It's the nuts and bolts piece where you need to actually know what you've got on the shop floor and where it is, and is it what you think it is. Currently, only about 50% of all stock in store is accurately tracked. The rest of it, you don't really know or you don't know at all. 15% of it, you have no idea what's there. Whether it's in the store, stolen or not, you have no idea what's there. With RFID, you can track literally and geolocate in the store what garments, specifically down to the individual item you have sitting on which shelf where. And that, as Scott was just explaining with the Swirl initiative there, is, for example, what enables you to find out what's in the store when you're standing there and you're relating to the location of yourself in the store. The store knows also what merchandise you're looking at because it tracks both. It tracks you and the merchandise and can then relate the two to each other. So that's the one key piece that needs to almost be solved before you can make anything else happen. Before you have accurate inventory control, you can't build any of the fantastic stuff we're going to hear about today, and that you need to be able to you need to have as a foundation to access all these fantastic experiences, all these apps that people are building. Without the backbone of the inventory accuracy, and none of that matters. It's going to be hugely expensive for retail to run these initiatives. They're all inventing their own wheels on their own in their own space, but it's ultimately very frustrating for consumers to have to sort of experience all the different brands in different ways. There needs to be one universal access point, and we're pushing RFID as that can build the network and the inventory control through all the major retailers so that they have the same foundational structure in order to build all their customer experience pieces on that. The second piece is the in-store experience. Here is, for example, Burberry, where the stock that you then have in store can take on its own life and relate to you in specific ways through the infrastructure in the store, that can react to the merchandise you might have and what you might do with it, where you might take it, whether you put it in your shopping basket, whether you take it to the changing room, or whether it tracks what you're looking at and therefore is already assembled for you in the changing room before you get there. So there's tons of stuff that can happen in store that is enabled through being able to track stuff intelligently. The third piece is the consumer experience that happens outside of the store and how you relate to that, that we're going to hear a lot of today, I guess, about. So how we're tying this together really is through these smart labels, right? Where for us, if you have a brand that is using RFID as a technology, you've got, see here, for example, an enabled label with the RFID chip, with the traditional barcode here, a user-readable QR code, but crucially also the RFID chip embedded in the label, so that you have a label that is accessible to everybody, to the store itself, through the radio frequency readers, through the traditional barcode readers, but also to the consumer with a QR code that they can scan that track the same garment and relate to it into the same database, so you can build experiences on that. The key missing piece at the moment, and that's the biggest challenge really is I think that where RFID has been a logistics technology and a manufacturing technology that enabled people to track their stock through the supply chain, through shipping, into the store, onto the shop floor, and located within that, know what's there, what's not, what's been stolen, all of that RFID can help you with. It's not something that you as a consumer can tap into, right? It's the frequency of the chip is not enabled, no user devices currently are enabled to tap into that. The nearest we come to is the NFC chip, which some smartphones now can work with. That's an RFID chip as well, but it works on different frequencies. So you have this gap right now where you have the brand itself with a very specific need to control its inventory on the shop floor and its ability to relate to these labels and to relate to their stock through that, but the gap where the consumer can't access that. So at the moment you have this hybrid where you need to create something that bridges this through QR codes or through barcodes that you can read as a consumer. But until that inventory piece is properly really solved, and until we have technologies that can access both seamlessly, we still face this piece where right now, really we're still in baby steps, where all this fantastic stuff can happen, but we haven't built a backbone yet onto which that can happen, right? So the universality of stock control and being able to tap into it, I always relate it to something similar to a credit card. We're building credit cards without having the banking network like at the moment. So we're trying to put that network in at the base that can tap into that, and you know as a retailer what's where in your distribution centers, on your shop floor, or wherever that might be, to be able to relate to the consumer piece, the actual credit card with which he can access that. That's the gap that we're still facing, but at the moment the bridge is our smart labels that we're building, and that hopefully made it a little bit sexier.